welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into some really interesting English learning materials you shared. They're from the YouTube channel, Learn English with Joy Knob.
That's right. We've got transcripts from a few of their videos, and they're all about, common English words and phrases.
Exactly. So our mission today is to really dig into these, unpack them a bit, show how they work in real life, and hopefully boost everyone's confidence using them.
Yeah, think of it as getting beyond just the dictionary definition. We're looking at things like literally, idioms like, it's not my cup of tea, phrasal verbs.
Yeah.
Bring up is one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look at examples, dialogues.
Yeah.
Really see them in action.
Okay, sounds great. Let's dive right in. First up, literally. Now, I hear this one all the time.
Oh, definitely.
According to the source, it means exactly or actually.
Yeah.
Used for emphasis.
Exactly that, yeah. Examples they gave were like, I literally jumped for joy. So the person really physically jumped.
Right. Or she was literally on cloud nine, just showing extreme happiness.
Mm-hmm. And the simple one, she literally ran to the store. Just stating a fact with a bit more force.
So it adds that emphasis.
It does. And it's interesting how it sort of removes any suggestion of exaggeration, you know? In that dialogue example.
Well, the movie star one. Yeah.
Right. Mia says she literally saw Chris Evans, literally right in front of her.
Oh, badge.
And then she says it was literally the best day ever. It just underlines how genuine and intense that moment felt for her.
Yeah, you really feel her excitement there.
Yeah.
It seems pretty straightforward to use, doesn't it? The examples feel quite natural.
They do. It seems simple, but because it's used so often in spoken English, understanding it properly is really key. It helps you get what others mean.
Sure.
And also lets you, express your own feelings more vividly.
Speaking of vivid feelings, I was thinking about maybe going skydiving. Saw this video, though. Parachute didn't open.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I was literally too scared to even book it. Like, I know I wasn't actually falling, but the feeling was that intense.
That's actually a perfect example. We use it for that strong emotional punch, even if it's not the most, let's say, precise physical description. It captures the emotional truth.
Right. So when you hear it, you got to figure out if it's strict meaning or strong feeling.
Exactly. Worth thinking about.
Okay, next one. Various definitions. Seems simple.
Yeah.
Many different kinds.
Yep. It's an adjective, comes before a noun, like the examples, various fruits, various places.
So I have various books in my bag means different kinds of books, not just lots of the same one.
Precisely. And she likes to visit various countries. She wants variety in her travels. It just signals, diversity in multiple types without listing them all.
Saves time. Like in that dialogue, Mary and John talk about their weekends. They did various activities, hiking, reading, cooking, and saw various things, soccer, movies, grandparents. Paints a picture of a full weekend, right?
It really does. And that touches on sort of the efficiency of the word various. It lets you summarize neatly. Makes you think, doesn't it? Are there times maybe when using a word like various is actually better than listing out every single little thing?
That's a good point. I probably do list things out too much sometimes. Okay, let's tackle, at any rate, this one's like whatever happens or anyway.
Yeah, basically, it shows something's true or happening regardless of other factors.
Okay.
Like the examples, weather's not great, but at any rate, we will go to the park. The plan holds.
Despite the weather.
Right. Or he didn't finish his homework, but at any rate, he went to class. Attendance happened anyway. At any rate, signals that something stands firm.
And the source mentioned it's an idiom flexible placement. Start or end of a sentence, usually.
That's right. Useful flexibility.
In the dialogue, Maria's worried about rain on their trip. But John says, at any rate, we can bring umbrellas, and then, at any rate, we should go and have fun. It shows that determination,
Absolutely. It's a good way to convey commitment when things are a bit uncertain. Tells the listener, this point or this plan still stands.
It reminds me, this one time I planned a picnic, and just as people arrived, it started pouring rain.
Oh, no.
Seriously. And I just announced, well, at any rate, we are having this picnic. We ended up squashed indoors eating soggy sandwiches, but hey.
That's exactly the spirit of, at any rate. The intention holds, even if the situation changes drastically.
Right. Okay, next phrase. At the most, meaning the maximum possible, sets an upper limit.
Yep. The scenarios they mentioned were helpful, right? thinking about suitcases for a trip or guests for a party. How many at the most?
Yeah, practical stuff. And the sentence, I'll be there in 20 minutes at the most. That's clear maximum 20 minutes.
The dialogue about the beach trip used it too, estimating the drive, 2 hours at the most.
And money needed, $50 at the most. It's all about setting that ceiling.
Yeah, it is. But here's something interesting to think about. Is there a subtle difference between, say, an optimistic guess and a firm maximum?
How do you mean?
Well, when someone says at the most, are they hoping it'll be less, or are they really drawing a line for planning purposes? Like, it absolutely won't be more than this.
That's a good question. When I hear it, I probably think it's more like a likely upper limit, maybe hoping for less. But yeah, it could be a hard boundary.
Exactly. It's about context, maybe tone of voice sometimes.
Okay, let's look at the phrasal verb, to bring up. This means starting to talk about something, mentioning it.
That's the one, like bringing up weekend plans during a meeting, or the example, she brought up the new project, he brought up an interesting idea.
And the grammar point, it's separable. You can say bring something up or bring up something.
Yes, that's important. You can bring the issue up or you can bring it up. With pronouns, the pronoun has to go in the middle.
Got it. Bring it up. The dialogue had Sarah asking John if he brought up the budget problem.
Right, and he said yes, he brought it up. Then they talked about needing to bring up other related things. It shows that initiation of a topic.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just fundamental, isn't it? How we introduce things into a conversation. Concerns, ideas.
Definitely. You need to be able to bring things up.
Yeah, I use this all the time at work. Did you bring up the delays with the supplier, or I need to bring up the printer situation later?
Exactly. And the source also had an example of using it socially, like a friend bringing up a trip idea over dinner. So it's versatile.
Right. Okay, next is bucket list. A list of things to do before you die.
Yeah, and they mentioned the origin from kick the bucket. A bit dark, but memorable.
Yeah. The examples are nice, though. Traveling to Japan is on my bucket list. She has skydiving on her bucket list. Big life goals.
And grammatically, it's a noun, often used with on. Something is on your bucket list.
The dialogue was full of dreams. Visiting the Grand Canyon, learning guitar, scuba diving.
Seeing the Colosseum.
Yeah. It's all about those big aspirations.
It is. And what's interesting is how personal a bucket list is. You know, it really reflects what that specific person values or dreams of.
Sure.
Makes you wonder, maybe, have you ever thought about making one yourself? What sort of things might be on it?
Definitely makes you think. Okay, moving to blame, meaning to say or think someone's responsible for something bad.
Right. And the key grammar point here is that it's usually followed by for, then either a noun or the ing form of a verb, the gerund.
Like blame someone for the mistake or blame someone for breaking the vase.
Exactly. The examples they gave, teacher blaming a student, blaming a brother for a broken phone, illustrate that structure.
The dialogue about the lost keys felt very real. Jamie asking Alex, why did you blame me? Alex denies it, and then Jamie realizes, oh, wait, I think I should blame myself. Shows that process of figuring out responsibility.
Yeah, and it touches on the fact that blaming often carries, negative feelings, frustration, maybe anger. It's a communication act with weight.
For sure. I try to focus on, like, okay, how do we fix this rather than whose fault is it? But it's hard sometimes.
It's a natural reaction, definitely.
Okay, next phrase, the last straw. That final problem that just makes you snap or give up.
Exactly. It's about accumulation. The sources scenario is good. Miss the bus, spill coffee, forget keys. Annoying, right?
Yeah.
But then the car breaks down again. And that specific event, coming after all the others, is the last straw. It's the final thing in a series.
Right, the tipping point. The dialogue example about the job.
Yeah.
Overwhelming workload.
Right.
Then maybe one more unreasonable demand.
And the person says, that was it. It was the last straw. And they quit. It shows how something relatively small can trigger a big decision when you're already overloaded.
Yeah, everyone has their limit.
Totally. What seems minor to one person could be the last straw for someone else, depending on everything else going on.
Oh, I remember my old computer kept crashing while I was trying to work. The third time it happened in one afternoon. That was the last straw. Went straight out and bought a new one.
I get that. For me, it was a neighbor's dog barking incessantly. I'd asked nicely a few times, then one night it just went on and on. Last straw. Had to make a formal complaint.
Ugh, yeah. Okay, next. Get to the point. Means talk about the important part. Skip the fluff.
Pretty direct phrase. The scenarios make sense: a busy boss in a meeting, someone in a rush. They might use this.
Right. But the source mentioned being careful, it can sound impolite, especially formally.
Yeah, definitely. It can come across as impatient or rude.
Yeah.
Better alternatives might be, could we focus on the key issues? Or could you summarize the main points? Something softer.
Good tip. The dialogue example was about project design changes. Someone's waffling, and the other person goes, "Can you just get to the point?"
And the response is immediate. Okay. The main issue is the color scheme. Cuts right to it.
It works, but yeah, got to read the room.
Exactly. It's that balance between directness and politeness. Knowing when and how is key depends on the relationship, too.
I've definitely had moments wanting a friend telling a super long story to, maybe speed it up a bit gently.
We've all been there. And in work settings, being concise is usually appreciated, respecting people's time.
Totally. Okay, next phrasal verb. Catch up with. Meaning meet or talk after a while.
Yep. After not seeing or speaking to someone for a period. Could be in person, phone, messages, whatever.
Like the examples. Meeting a friend for coffee to catch up, or a cousin texting, "We should catch up soon." It implies reconnecting.
Definitely.
The dialogue between Jack and Rosa, who hadn't seen each other forever.
Yeah. Glad we're finally getting a chance to catch up.
And then they plan to catch up with their mutual friend Sarah, too. It's very social, about sharing news and reconnecting.
It is. And if you think about it, catching up is pretty essential for keeping relationships going, right? Staying connected, especially over time or distance.
Absolutely. It's always nice when you finally get that proper catch up with an old friend.
Yeah, bridging that gap.
Okay, moving to entire, meaning whole, complete, full.
Pretty straightforward. I spent the entire day cleaning. Or, my favorite, I ate the entire cake.
Yes. It just emphasizes totality. Nothing left out.
Exactly. In the vacation dialogue, Mary spent the entire week exploring.
An entire week of adventure really stresses the duration and how packed it was.
It does. Entire adds that emphasis, that sense of thoroughness or completeness. Paints a fuller picture than just saying, I spent the week exploring.
Yeah, it's stronger. I cleaned the house versus I spent the entire day cleaning. You feel the effort in the second one.
Right. And the idea of needing money for an entire month of travel expenses really highlights the scale of that commitment, time, and money.
For sure. Okay, next verb, to insist. Means keep saying something firmly, especially if others disagree, because you think it's important.
That's it. Like the mom insisting her kid does homework or someone insisting they come along to help, even if you say no thanks. There's persistence there.
And the grammar notes, insist on plus a noun or dising verb, like insist on punctuality or insist on going.
Right, or insist that followed by a full clause, like she insisted that I clean my room.
Yes, the dialogue example. The sister insisting on a clean room first.
Yeah.
Very relatable for anyone with siblings.
Probably. It does make you think, though. Why do people insist? Usually it's because they have a strong belief about something being important, right? Or they really want a specific outcome.
Yeah, my parents insisted on homework. Before playing, they believed education was crucial. And I tend to insist on meeting deadlines. It feels like respecting the team's work.
That makes sense. And I often insist on, say, cooking meals from scratch when possible. It's just a priority for me, knowing what's in my food.
Right. Personal priorities drive insistence.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Above all, meaning most importantly, highlighting the crucial point.
Exactly. More than anything else. Like, you must be kind, but above all, be honest. Or, she loves many art forms, but above all, she loves painting. It signals the top priority.
In the dialogue, one person says painting is what they love above all, and the other says playing soccer above all. Shows their main passion.
Yeah. It's a useful phrase for communicating what really matters most to you, cutting through the other details to state the core value or preference.
It really focuses things. Like saying, okay, lots to consider, but this is the main thing.
Precisely. Above all, stay safe. That kind of instruction.
Okay, next is to mess up. Oh, boy. Means make a mistake, do something badly.
Yeah, or when something just goes wrong because of an error. It's super versatile, as the source said. Cooking, plans, work, schedules.
Lots of ways to mess up. Burning pancakes, being late for a meeting, bombing a presentation.
Arriving late for an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good examples of things going wrong. And grammatically, you can just say, I messed up. Or specify what you messed up, like I messed up the recipe.
The dialogue had Mark saying, I messed up yesterday because he forgot a lunch date. A very common everyday mess up.
Totally relatable.
And spilling coffee on a laptop. Definitely messed up my laptop doing that once.
Oh, no. Yeah, messing up is just part of being human, isn't it? We all make mistakes. Small ones, big ones. It's how we learn.
True. And sometimes, if you're lucky, the mess-ups make for funny stories later.
Often they do. You learn something, hopefully.
Okay, nearly there. Penultimate phrase. It's not my cup of tea, meaning it's not something you like or are interested in.
Exactly. A polite way to express dislike or disinterest. The example was concerts being not really my cup of tea.
And other examples like horror movies or maybe certain sports.
Right. The key is the politeness. It's softer than saying, I hate it, or that's boring.
The dialogue about the rock concert showed that well. One person says, well, rock music is not really my cup of tea, and prefers something quieter. It's a gentle way out.
It is. And it's interesting. It feels quite British in origin, doesn't it? Though it's widely understood now. Shows how language carries cultural nuances.
Definitely feels gentler than just saying, no thanks, I don't like rock music.
Precisely. Avoids a blunt refusal.
Okay, and finally, glumsy. An adjective for someone who often drops things, bumps into things, lacks grace, basically.
Yep. Like John, who keeps spilling drinks, or that poor waiter dropping a whole tray, describes a lack of physical coordination.
The dialogue, where Emma keeps breaking plates and feels always so clumsy, I think a lot of people feel that way sometimes.
Me too.
We talked about having clumsy moments dancing, or maybe first thing in the morning when you're half asleep.
Exactly. It happens. Which raises a point, maybe. Is being clumsy always bad? Sometimes it's just, a bit endearing or funny.
True. Unless you break something expensive.
Fair point. But yeah, it's just a reminder that physical dexterity varies.
And most of us have those days, right?
Yeah.
Tired, distracted, in a hurry. Prime clumsy conditions.
Absolutely. Part of the human package.
Okay, wow. That brings us to the end of our deep dive into these English words and phrases from Learn English with Joynob. We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. From emphasis with literally to politeness with it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, hopefully everyone feels a bit clearer on how these things actually work in everyday conversation.
That's the goal. Understanding things like various for summarizing at any rate, for determination to bring up for starting topics. It's about practical use.
Expanding vocabulary, but also building confidence.
Exactly.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about which of these words or phrases you notice the most. When you're listening or reading English, pay attention to how they subtly change the meaning, the feeling, and how knowing them better might help you express yourself more, precisely, or with a bit more color.
Yeah, good point. Maybe even try using one or two deliberately in your next conversation. See how it feels.
Yeah, give it a go. See what happens.